Good afternoon, guys, and welcome back to another episode of That's World with Tegan. I feel like my voice sounds really raspy, and I'm not sure whether it's because I'm tired or whether I'm getting ill. I don't know either. I seem to always get ill at the same time my horse, injures herself or has an off day. We're very, in sync. So if she decides that she's having a bad day, or if she, has a bit of an ache somewhere, then I usually get something that week for some reason. But this week I've been feeling a little bit tired. I feel like I've gone on, a bit of a spiral with work. I have made it a mission to work most nights until 9 p.m. and then I can have downtime. But on Monday I worked until 11 p.m. and then my brain can switch off until about 2 a.m. in the morning, 2 a.m. And for some reason when I was trying to get to sleep, the only thing going on in my brain was the song Drinks or Coffee by Rosé. I had the chorus on repeat in my head for about 2 hours. So I only got 2 hours, or probably 4 hours of sleep on Monday, which then led to Tuesday being a very difficult day. And not even difficult in actually doing tasks, but because I was so tired and then I had to have a coffee at 5 p.m. to make sure that I could get through the rest of the day. Well, actually no, I had the coffee at 3 p.m. and that's usually when I stop drinking coffee. But I had a coffee and it was a really good Colombian, Mexican, strong ass coffee, and immediately worried. I was like, okay, back in the room, thank God. But then that sent my body into a spiral, and my body was constantly spasming. When I say constantly, I mean non-stop. Every muscle in my body was just on one, to the point where there was, when I got home, I was getting it in my when I got home, I was getting in my pajamas, and I decided to sit down to do that because I thought my legs aren't going to be able to handle this. So I sat down and I was trying to do my buttons on my pajamas top, which usually is no hassle whatsoever. Normally I can do it one-handed with my foot. For some reason this day, because every muscle was moving, I could not do the buttons. I was sat there for 30 minutes trying to do my top up. I even came downstairs with it just open at one point because I just thought, okay, I'll have a little walk and I'll come back to it. Anyway, it took me about 40 minutes to do that up, and then my core decided that it was going to have a field day and spasm as hard and as much as it could, which led to me basically going to the floor, because I can't even describe it, but when my core gets involved, obviously that's the thing that keeps you stable and keeps you upright, keeps you moving, keeps everything working. So if my core decides to get involved, then I usually end up either bent over, unable to move, or on the floor, unable to move, or I just have to lie down or sit down and just hope for the best. But this time it actually took me down to the floor because it caught me off guard, and my core went, and I just ended up on the floor because I was like, yeah, this actually hurts, and there's nothing that I can do about it. I just kind of got to wait it out. But I think what people don't understand is that spasms come from the difference between spasms and tone. So with my cerebral palsy, I have high tone, which means that my muscles contract a lot and they hold on to that contract feeling. But dystonia is more the involuntary movement and contraction of the muscles. So that's what I have no control over. And the dystonia is the bit that gets me. Because I can handle high tone, I can mentally kind of release the tension in my muscles that I've learned over the years to find ways, whether it's like vibration, anything that vibrates really relaxes my muscles. Anything weighted relaxes it. Anything music-wise is quite good. But dystonia is a pain in the ass. Nothing fixes that. Except for drugs, basically. Drugs are the only fix for that. Or a really heavy weighted blanket so I can't move. At one point, I actually, I remember once I could not stop moving and it was really annoying me. And I had my friend just lie on top of me because I had nothing on me to like help. So she was like, is there anything that I can do? And I was like, yeah, lie your whole body on top of mine and just let's just wait for it to stop. And she did. She led on me and it really helped. So that is always a backup plan. But this day with the dystonia, because my core got involved, I couldn't really do anything about it. It's rare that I feel like because I've lived with my disability for so long and I don't know any different, to me it's not painful, it's more of an irritant. But when it gets to a certain level, it becomes painful. And when I notice the pain, I then know that it must be extreme because I have noticed it. And if I hadn't noticed it, I feel like I could have just wrote it out. But does that make sense? I feel like because I just have a very high pain tolerance, I don't clock when I'm in pain. I just see it as, oh, there's something hurting there, but like it's not actually hurting me enough to like notice it. But that day I was like, okay, this hurts. This is an issue. But anyway, I had to resort to taking medication because that was the only out that day. That was the only way that I was gonna have a break and be able to sleep and get a decent sleep so that the next day I could function as I usually would. That's what I did. I resorted in taking one of my emergency medications and then had a very, very good night's sleep. But I still couldn't, my brain was so mentally switched on, I couldn't go to sleep until probably 1 a.m. again. So even though I was tired physically, my brain was so thinking about work and all the things that I gotta do, and I literally had to write a to-do list of things that I have to do and stuck it on my fridge because one thing that I'm very bad at, well not very bad at, but one thing that I just struggle with is admin and completing tasks and knowing the importance of each task. I do know the importance, but if I know a task is going to take me a long time and I don't have the mental energy for it, then I will ignore it for as long as I can, and I will do every single irrelevant little task that I can do in the meantime before I get to that. So I've done that for the last maybe 2 months, and now I have a long list of very important things that I have to do. So yeah, that's what I'm tackling this month. I'm very very happy and very thankful that I have got a PA, because she has helped me. I think I've had Winnie for maybe almost a year now, but almost at a year, and she's helped me so much. Like, I would not have been able to do the transition to Jamaica. I would not have done all of the paperwork behind that. I wouldn't have done all the email work, getting all that sorted. I wouldn't have kept up with managing my potential sponsors, and now we're looking for new sponsors and more financial help and grants and what's the other one called? I don't know, anything to do with money and like applications and paperwork. She's helped me with everything, so I love her so much. And yeah, anyway, I forgot what I was saying, but I was saying that basically my head has been on admin for the last 3 days. What day are we on now? We're on Wednesday, but we had a meeting on Sunday, and since then my brain has been full of ideas, full of tasks, full of things that I got to do, and it sent my brain into a bit of a spiral. So I'm trying to get back to my days at school, because I went to a semi-private school. Like, it wasn't private, it was a public school that was private, that switched to public, but it remained private ethos. So it still felt like a private, very high educational school. And even though I don't have very good memories of that school, one thing that they were really good at is teaching me how to manage workloads, because we had so much homework every day. But the school basically taught you that you should work until 9 p.m. every day, and then 9 p.m. was the cut-off where you can sit and have downtime and watch a show, and then you'd be in bed by 10:30, and then you're up by 6 in the morning to do homework before school again. No one actually really stuck to their time schedules, but they, to be fair, I did. I was very routine. I like to have my weekends free of work, and I don't like doing work on the weekends that I feel like is work. I'm happy to do the podcast. I'm happy to do content and things that I enjoy, but I try to avoid my actual job and emails and admin on the weekend. And that's because of the way that I was taught at school, was basically get all your work done by Friday and then you have your weekend free. So that's what I'm attempting to do. But I also got managed the what was it called? The downtime of it. But one thing that I really enjoy still about my downtime that has been routine for so long is that every night I watch Law and Order SVU before I go to bed. My TV in my room. And to be fair, I only got a TV in my room 2 years ago. Before then, I never had a TV in my room. I only had the TV downstairs in the living room. So that probably also doesn't help. But I do enjoy watching TV in my room. And the TV channel stays on Law and Order every night. And every night I fall asleep watching Olivia Benson and Ice-T. What's his name in the show? Finn. I watch them to solve crimes, and that's how I enjoy my evening. So that has been my downtime, but I do need to improve just actually having time to sit and do nothing. which is my favourite thing to do. But when I get into a routine of like trying to work more, I have to sit down and do nothing. So we need to find balance is what we need. But yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about at the start of this video now. What else was I talking about? I was talking about Colston, wasn't I? I'm not gonna lie, guys. Colston's it was actually a really fun school to be at, but it was very educational. There was no time for fun at Colston's, but we still have fun. We found time for fun, but I do really want to do a video of like my experience going to an all-girls school, and it's also an all-girls like private ethos school where we had to go to church 3 times a year. One of the times we had to celebrate Colston, I even forget his name, but we had to celebrate Edward Colston, who, if you didn't know, so during the Black Lives Matter marches in 2020, the Edward Colston statue in Bristol was ripped off, torn down, and thrown in the river. And Edward Colston is the guy that basically funded the Colston schools, and that was the one that I went to. And one thing that they did at that school every year was that we had a day to commemorate and thank Edward Colston for building our school. And we would go to church, we'd have to wear a full uniform, which also included wearing hats and kilts and blazers. We had the full gear, and then we each got given a chrysanthemum flower to wear on our blazers because that was his favourite flower. And then we had to sit in church for half the morning and listen to people give thanks. And I'm not gonna lie, most of the time I either didn't go, I fell asleep once, I mostly chatted with my friends, and the only thing that we enjoyed was that after the whole church ceremony thing, we would get half a day off school, so everyone would go into town and like get changed and just have fun. So we all look forward to that day for that reason. But it really was crazy because like even if you weren't Christian and you weren't someone that would be in the church, you were still expected to go. And if you didn't go, you would get to detention on a Saturday. So you would have to go in on a Saturday to sit in school in silence in a room, in an empty hall, on a chair and table by yourself for like half a day. Crazy, I know. But anyway, my year was the first year where the school turned from private to public. So my year group was like the first year of like unruly children. We had opinions. We did not care to say them. We did not respect the rules. We did not bow down to authority. We did not give a fuck that the guy funded the school when he was a slave trader. And because also half of my year group was black or Asian or Indian or of some form of minority. So the fact that they were making us go to church to commemorate the guy that is known in Bristol for being a slave trader, and that's how he made his money. we were literally like, no, but fuck you, we're not going. And they would give us detention, and we would say, well, but that too, we're not going. And I honestly loved my year group because we were just so like, we were the ones that were so against authority, and we created so much change in that school just for like having a voice and opinion. Mad. But even they had a statue of Edward Colston in the school, and that only got taken down, I think, 3 years ago. And I left school in 2019. So it was there the whole time that I was there. And they only just got rid of it. And they got rid of it, I think, because they changed the names of all the Colston schools after the statue got ripped down. They changed all of the buildings and school names from Colston to something else. So that's when they removed the Colston statue from the school. But it's still crazy to me that, like, they made us do that, and they made us be in a school where there was a literal statue of a slave trader in the hallway. How crazy. There was so many things that were crazy at that school. I really needed to do, like, an actual video explaining it. One, like, even when I was in year 7, they used to have this thing for when you were in your first year, where if you did I can't even remember the reasoning for it, but like, every Friday you would have to go to the headmaster's office individually and receive a sticker for something that you did that week. I think it was attendance. I think it was like, if you had good attendance, you got a sticker. But I can't remember. But I always thought it was weird because you would line up outside the headmaster's door. He would invite you in one by one. The door would be shut behind you, and you sit down in his chair, and he would hand you a sticker and say how well you've done this week. Thank you for doing whatever you've done, and continue to do the same next week. And it sounds like fine, but it had such a weird, eerie feel to it. It just felt weird to me. And I'm pretty sure I ended up stopping going at some point because I just was like, I didn't really care for the sticker and I didn't really care for the situation, so I just stopped going. But and then what else? Oh, like, we had this thing where if a teacher or member of staff entered the classroom, we all had to stand up in sync and say good morning, sir, or good morning, miss. And I feel like I could be remembering it, but I feel like at one point we did a little bow or curtsy or something. I feel like for some reason we had to do that for someone. But that it might just be adding things on in my head. But I remember like rebelling against something and was like, yeah, it's just not happening. I'm trying to think what else was just crazy. I'm trying to think of the rules. There were so many fucking rules. The rule that the school still had, that they were more strict on it when I was there because it was more private ethos. Now it's an academy, I think, so it's less like rule based, I guess. But back then they were strict as hell. But you had to have your blazer on at all times, and if you were going to school on a rainy day we're in England, we're in Britain, where when there's very bad weather, if it's a hurricane outside and it's soaking wet, and you have a coat on and an umbrella, if you enter the front gate with that umbrella up or with your coat still on, you will be getting marked down, or they will confiscate your coat and an umbrella, and you'll get it back at the end of the week, which was crazy. And what else they used to do? They used to confiscate people's phones for a week, and if you had your phone out on Monday and they caught you, you would get it back on Friday. They would not care. And like people's parents would call and be like, "Give me back my property," and they would just say, when your child learns not to be on the phone in school, they can have that, and that would be the argument. There's so many arguments between like staff and parents as well, because the rules are just crazy. Oh, hair! Oh my god, hair! You weren't allowed to have your hair down. It had to be tied back at all times. And you weren't allowed a non-natural colour hair. If you came in with non-natural colour hair, they sent you home. And if you came back a second time with non-natural hair, a teacher or member of staff will take you to the local hairdressers, where they will put a form of dye over your hair to make it a natural colour, and basically gave you no choice in the matter. What else did they do? This school was crazy. I mean, I say all these things, but one thing that they were like known for is everyone got A's or A stars. Like everyone got really good grades, so that they were really good for. They know how to educate, but there was so much weird shit that went on in that school. Oh my god, I was just reminiscing. But anyway, I need my friends to like join me for this conversation, because when we're together, we all kind of remember different things and like trigger different memories, and it's just really fun to get down memory lane. It's entertaining, I love it. And people always used to say like, so before I went to the school, there was a rumour that was like, oh, if you go to Colston girls, you're gonna end up gay because it's an all-girls school and everyone ends up gay. And I was always like, well, no, like, if you think about it, it's just girls. Like, you're not gonna end up gay just because you're around girls all the time. And I would defend the school to the hills. I'm not even exaggerating. I think 85% of my school year ended up queer of some sort. Like, literally everyone had some form of awakening or experimenting. Yeah. And then by the time I left, I'm like, yeah, I can't defend it, because I obviously went off because my camera shut off, because I was talking for too long. But I was saying, by the time I left, I could not defend it, because everyone, or majority of people, were gay. And they still are, actually. I'm pretty sure they still are. So, it is a school where you might end up a little bit queer. But I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to be able to experiment and have a little bit of fun. And even though there's so many weird things about this school, I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Like, I would not be the person that I am having not been to that school. Not just like the friends that I made and the experiences that I had, but definitely the education, because it was so private school-esque. I was prepared so well for like uni and high level and going into work. We practiced like doing job interviews once a year, and they would like have you come in suits and like how you go to an interview, and the teacher would interview you for a job and like give you feedback on how to be better at it. So like they did loads of things that were really beneficial for like later life. I can just only recall the crazy and utterly mad experiences that school also brought. But anyway, it was good to reminisce. This episode has been too long already. I've been yapping for a long time. So, thank you all for listening. And if you would like to hear more about my time at my all-girls private school, then let me know. And I will try and find a time when I can get my friends to come and we can make a video and reminisce together. Because we all had such different experiences, because 2 of us were there from year 7 to year 13. Is it year 13? Yes. Year 13, sixth form. We were there until college/sixth form. And then one of my friends joined in year 9 to sixth form, and my other friend joined at sixth form, I think. So she only got the older experience, not the younger experience. So she might not even know the half of what went on in that school. So let me know, and I'll try and get us together. So thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe as always, because it really helps me. And comment if there's anything that you would like to see me yap about next. And also, if you would like more guest episodes, let me know, because I haven't done that in a while, and I would like to do a few more. So if you want to come on the podcast, you can also do that. Or let me know who you would like me to interview, and I'll try and do that. But anyway, I truly have been yapping for a long time, and I need to go in and have my dinner now. So, thanks guys, love you.